Okay, so it's that time again to do a massive book haul, and today I have more than 50 books with me that are worth more than 10 million. And of course, by 10 million, I mean 10 million rupiah. And before you guys ask, I didn't buy these books all at once. But the reason I only do the book haul video now, which is essentially months after I bought some of these books, is simply because I thought it was better to make a book haul video with 20 or 30 books instead of making a book haul video with only 5 to 8 books. And that's pretty much the reason why. And the books that I have today with me are divided into 4 different categories. The first one is mangas by Junji Ito, fiction novels, classics, and lastly, non-fiction books. I will not be talking about each of these books or explain the reason why I bought them in the first place, because there are just way too many books to talk about, and most of the time the reason why I buy a book is simply because I want to buy that book. But if you have any questions about some of these books, you can leave your questions in the comment section below and I'll definitely answer them. And if you also have opinions and thoughts about some of these books, you can also share them in the comment section and I'll definitely check them out. Just make sure that there are no spoilers. With those things out of the way, let's start with the first category, and that's mangas by Junji Ito. Okay, so for the first ones, I have Uzumaki, Tomie, and No Longer Human, which are his longest mangas, and in my opinion, which are also his best work. The illustrations in Uzumaki and Tomie are just fantastic. They're terrifying, grotesque, and just all around beautiful and dark. And for No Longer Human, although the illustrations are not necessarily terrifying or as horrifying as Uzumaki and Tomie, Junji Ito is able to convey the depressing nature of the story by Osamu Dazai perfectly through his illustrations. And I also have Gyo, which in my opinion is completely the opposite of the other 3 that I've just mentioned. This one is just his worst, because in terms of illustrations, nothing about them are terrifying or horrifying, and the story itself is just ridiculous. This is just one of those things that you don't want to recommend your friend when they want to get into Junji Ito for the first time. This is one of those that you should avoid, or at least at first. And I also have collections of his short stories, Love Sickness, Shiver, Deserter, Frankenstein, and Smashed, all of which I really enjoyed. And also Fragments of Horror, Black Paradox, Remina, and Liminal Zone. And last but not least, Junji Ito's best short story collection, which honestly lives up to its name. The stories are disturbing, unique, and beautifully dark. And so yeah, these are basically all mangas I have by Junji Ito. Okay, so the next books are essentially just a bunch of books from different genres that I bought, maybe because I'm a big fan of the author, or they are the latest installments in their series, or because I was just simply intrigued by their book blurbs. And to start this category off, let's talk about The Passenger and Stella Maris by Cormac McCarthy. I'm a big fan of the guy, so it was kind of impossible for me not to buy the books that mark his comeback as an author after being absent and silent for more than a decade. I'm planning to read these 2 after I finish everything else by McCarthy, so I guess it's better if I read the others as soon as possible so that I can join those who have finished these 2. I also have Long Shadows by David Baldacci, which is the 7th novel in the Amos Dekker series, Death on Gokomon Island by Seishi Yokomizo, and The Sacred History by Donna Tartt. Next on this list is White Noise by Don DeLillo, and I bought this one in particular because Don DeLillo is often compared to McCarthy, and since I admire the latter, I decided to try reading DeLillo's book as well. I decided to go with this one because this one is his most famous, and maybe if I enjoy this one, I will try his other books as well. Next, I have this ginormous book, which is In Black Heart, the sixth novel in the Cormorant Strike series by Robert Galbraith. I also bought Funiculi Funicula by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, Girls by Minato Kanai, Holy Mother by Akiyoshi Rikako, and The Good Son by Jong Yo Jong. I'm sorry if I butchered the author's name there. Lastly, I have two books by Keigo Higashino, Black Showman dan Pembunuhan di Kota Tak Bernama, and Salvation of a Saint. Okay, so for the first ones, I have Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, The Scarlet Letter A by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. I also have Metamorphosis and Other Stories by Franz Kafka, and also Rashomon and 17 Other Stories by Akutagawa. I bought this one essentially because of the movie adaptation of Rashomon. Truth be told, I actually haven't seen the movie, but the premise did intrigue me. So since I also found out that it was an adaptation, I decided to read the short story first. Next, 3 books by James Joyce: Blinners, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, and Ulysses. I am personally aware of Joyce's reputation as an author whose books are challenging, if not impossible to read. But that only made me even more curious about his work, so I decided to buy these 3 versions which have ample notes to help me get through his masterpieces. Next, I also bought 3 books by Graham Greene: The End of the Affair, The Power and the Glory, and lastly, The Heart of the Matter. Okay, so the reason why I bought these 3 books by Graham Greene is simply because I'm a big fan of Flannery O'Connor and G.K. Chesterton, both of whom were Catholic writers. I was truly amazed and entertained by their work, and more importantly, I think their work are great proofs that novels, stories, or even short stories about religion can also be exciting as well. Or maybe even dark and disturbing like their work, and also The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. So because of those things, I decided to find other Catholic writers, and along the way I came across Graham Greene. I also have The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, East of Eden by John Steinbeck, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. After those 4, now comes Moby Dick by Herman Melville. But instead of 1, there are 2. Yes, 2 Moby Dick. Actually, I only wanted to buy the cloth-bound version, but unfortunately, as you can see, the quality of this book is kind of disappointing. I mean, you can see that the paint or whatever this is just came off because, I held it. I didn't hold it for like 5 to 10 minutes. I held it probably only for 30 seconds and these things just came off. Granted, one of them happened because, I peeled off the price tag, but then again, there was someone who was smart enough to put the price tag there. So because of that, I'll be reading Moby Dick from this version, and I'll still read the notes, explanation, commentaries provided by the cloth-bound version, but I'm not going to read the story from that book. I'm going to read it from here. Next on the list are The Odyssey by Homer and Metamorphosis by Ovid. And the reason why I bought these 2 is simply because Dante put them, these epic poets, in his masterpiece, The Divine Comedy. I think they're only mentioned in Inferno though. So yeah, I bought these 2 essentially because of Dante's Divine Comedy. I also have the complete stories of Flannery O'Connor and Flannery O'Connor collection. So I actually didn't have to buy the Flannery O'Connor collection published by Word on Fire here because I had bought and read The Violent Buried Away, which is a novel included in this collection, and also the complete stories of Flannery O'Connor. But the reasons why I still did buy this are because this one contains essays by O'Connor herself, also an introduction by Bishop Barron, and this edition just also looks beautiful. And last but not least, The Portable Dante, translated by Mark Musa. Okay, so I guess I've mentioned this before, but the reason why I keep buying different translations of Dante's Divine Comedy is because I'm interested to know how different translators translate his masterpiece. And I also want to know what notes, explanation, and other things that they can add to his work. So this thing, The Divine Comedy, is something that you will often see whenever I make a book haul video. So I hope you guys are okay with it. What is a Woman by Matt Walsh. Okay, why? Well, because I never thought even once in my life that we would be in the situation, a situation where a question such as this should be asked. And honestly, I'm curious to see what Matt has to say and show in this book. Next, I have Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Beyond Order. Jordan Peterson is just one of those public figures who is both loved and despised by a myriad of people. This man is everywhere. It's almost impossible to not know him, especially if you are always up to date about current issues. So because of the fuss surrounding the man, I became interested to read his book and decided to buy some of his work. Next, I also have Advanced Grammar in Use by Martin Hewings. And the reason I bought it is simply because you guys know that I love learning about English grammar, so... Next on the list, I have Mystery and Manners by Flannery O'Connor and Reading Dante From Here to Eternity by Prue Shaw. So, for Mystery and Manners, this one is essentially a compilation of Flannery O'Connor's writing on various topics, which include essays on regional writing, teaching on literature, and then some essays on writer and religion, and some others. As for Reading Dante, well, because I'm a big fan of the Divine Comedy, I also feel like it's not enough to just read the notes provided by each translator. It's better if I try to read books on Dante by other scholars as well. So because of that, I decided to buy this one, especially since most people on the internet seem to agree that this book is one of the, if not the best book on Dante's Divine Comedy. So let's see if they are right. And for the next ones, I have What to Say and How to Say It by Brendan Vogt, Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton, Timeless by Steve Weidenkopf, Summa of the Summa by Peter Kreeft, Pivotal Players by Bishop Barron, and Confessions by St. Augustine. Lastly, I have two Word on Fire Bibles. The one on the right includes the Gospels, and the one on the left includes Acts, Letters, and Revelation. I just love these editions of the Bibles because they are perfectly designed, and they also include beautiful and amazing illustrations, which are not only, gorgeous to look at, they are also informative and can also engage with our sense of beauty and imagination, which in my opinion are also important when it comes to understanding the Bible. I also love the fact that it has myriads amount of notes, because the Bible, let's just be honest, can get difficult at times to understand, and I think notes are one of those things that important to have if one really wants to understand the Bible much deeper. So I am truly grateful to be able to have these Bible editions by Word on Fire, and I can't wait to buy the next volume. So yeah, those are essentially the books that I bought in the last several months. There are still actually 2 books that are on their way, but I'm just going to include them in my next book haul video. But how about you guys? Have you guys done any book hauls yourself? If you have, what books have you gone for yourself? Share them in the comments below and let me know. I'll definitely read it and probably might end up also buying those books as well. With that, thank you for watching and staying. My name is Dante, and as always, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.